Going back to Daniel 7:2. And behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I already mentioned this in the explanation. This represents Babylon. The first was like a lion. The lion is the king of the jungle. So that's what Babylon was the king of the nations, the jungle, those who behave like the animals in the jungle. In the positive sense, we have the lion of Yahudah, the king of Yahudah. But in the negative, Satan is like a lion roaring, seeking who he may devour. So Babylon, which comes from Babel, which means confusion, is the spirit of confusion sent by Satan to fool the nations. So the spirit of confusion that is in the world, within the Christian world, that will be what Revelation calls the whore of Babylon. But of course, there are many people who do not claim to be Christians and believe a lot of falsehood, which also comes from that confusion of Babylon. And like I said once again, evolution, Big Bang, and all of those things. So the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. We also see here something interesting, because just like I said, the lion of Yahudah and Satan is like a lion. We have the eagle that represents Babylon, that represented those of Amalek, the worst enemy of Israel, that also was used by Hitler and the Nazis, and also by the United States, for instance, and other big important nations that have caused a lot of damage in the world. They have used the eagle, and Rome also used the eagle. So it's interesting that we see it in Babylon, the Amalek, in Amalek, in USA, in Rome, in also the Nazis. So the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. We see in the book of Revelation 12 that the congregation of Yahweh, which is represented by the tribe of Yahudah, whose animal is the lion. So the chosen few who are as Yahudah will be given eagle's wings on the transformation, meaning their new bodies to be changed from this reality to the next, being taken to the prepared place of Revelation 12. So lion and eagle's wings is interesting because it also connects in the positive sense to the chosen few. But my point is, the chosen few are the true congregation, in contrast to the obviously false congregation called the whore of Babylon in Revelation. So the whore of Babylon and the virgin of Israel, those two are represented by a lion because of Yahudah, Mashiach, the chosen few, and because of Satan, the whore of Babylon. And they both have eagle's wings, like we see here for Babel, the whore of Babylon. But in the end times, the chosen few receive those eagle wings to fly away, pretty much. So the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I watched till its wings were plucked off, which kind of goes with what I just said, as in the whore of Babylon in the end times, just like Babel happened, like it happened in Babel in the chapter 5, when they lost their power. So just like the whore of Babylon will lose its power by those wings being taken off, it's interesting how Yahweh will give wings of eagles to the chosen few, as if taking the power and strength, beauty, and whatever honor the whore of Babylon has taken and kept for most of human history, taking it from it and giving it to his bride, his congregation. So I watched till his wings were plucked off. In this sense, in the historical sense, that means when Babylon fell, back in chapter 5. And it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. and a man's heart was given to it. So we see here what I was just explaining regarding Nebuchadnezzar. We see in when it comes to the whole empire in the time of Daniel how Babylon would fall, but its main king Nebuchadnezzar would go through humiliation in order to understand who is the one who raises up the kings, because he thought he was the Almighty, he thought he was the one that did everything, and Yahweh had to teach him that that was not the case. So through that 7 years, those 7 years that he went through that test, when he realized that Yahweh is the only one that does that, then he received a human heart, meaning he started to think like a human. He received understanding regarding who is the Almighty Creator. That's why it says here, and a man's heart was given to it. When Nebuchadnezzar, who was like a lion, like an ox, like an eagle, when he started recognizing Yahweh as the true mighty one and therefore acting like a human, that moment he became a man spiritually. And that's why we see it here that the lion with eagle's wings received a man's heart. And since I was talking about the positive way in which we could see this because of the many connections with the congregation that Yahweh chooses in Revelation 12, it says the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, like the Lion of Yehudah, through whom Yahushua the Mashiach came, the Lion of Yehudah, as we see in Revelation 5, who gives the chosen few who believe in him eagle's wings to fly away from the serpent in Revelation 12, to go to the prepared place. And over there, in the transformation, in the harvest, they will meet finally with Mashiach, who is, in this case, when what I was saying, the last. Just like the lion is the first, who gives the strength to the last to fulfill his mission, and then they become one. That's why I also use the lion regarding the second coming, because Yahushua came as the lamb, and he gives the strength for the last to appear as the lion. But that strength of the lion comes from Yahudah, from Yahushua. That's why it is written, I can do all things in Yahushua, in Mashiach, who strengthens me. It's like the first was like a lion, that is Yahushua, the first who came from Yahudah. Interestingly, it says the first. Yahushua is called the first in Isaiah many times, in many places also. And had eagle's wings, like the wings that are going to be given to the chosen few, like I already said, to go to the prepared place in Revelation 12. I watched till his wings were plucked off, and it was, this plucked off part is like the moment when they will receive, when that power is taken off, plucked off from the whore of Babylon, will be given to the true congregation. If we were to even take this for that positive interpretation, would be the fact that their animal bodies, their fleshy, the flesh which cannot enter the kingdom, because flesh and blood will not enter the kingdom, will be taken away, because it will be transformed into the heavenly bodies. Also the inclination to do evil, which is pretty much like an animal part which is in us, that takes us to do things through instinct instead of through intellect. And then it says, and he was lifted up from the earth, like the chosen few will be lifted up from the earth and taken in Revelation 15 to the firmament to sing the song of the Lamb and Moshe. And made to stand on 2 feet, like the 2 witnesses who by this time that I'm saying with the chosen few would have been already dead and resurrected. The last, the witness like Moshe, is the heart of men, because he is the branch of David, and David had a heart like Yahweh's heart. Therefore the last is like the heart, while the first is like the brain. But in this case, the first appeared as the lion, the eagle's wings given to the congregation, and then this congregation meets with the last, who is the heart. And that's why it says to stand on 2 feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So I'll continue. Like I said, I just want to make sure you understand this whole thing that I just read in verse 4 has to do with Babylon. Yet I found interesting, and that's why I said it, how all of it connects with a positive prophecy and promise. Therefore we could even take it in a positive sense.